Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Want to make sure the audio and the visual is working before we kick things off. So let me know in the chat, as soon as the chat is enabled, that you can hear me and you can see me. All right. Hey, Wendy, welcome. Excellent. What's up, Sliv? Good to see you, Becky. All right. So today's session is going to be, if you haven't attended a listing leads training, this is what we refer to as a lightning session. A lightning session is a fast-paced 20-minute session designed to help you get unstuck or help you take advantage of an opportunity in the market right now, or help you rethink how you think about marketing to go out there and get some more customers. And so this is going to be up 20 minutes. We're going to be fast paced. We're going to hit the ground running here in just about 30 seconds. Make sure everyone can get dialed in because we have over 1,000 people registered for today's session. And you're going to walk away with 3 ideas that can help you in your business take advantage of the next 45 days. This is the interesting part of the year. This is the interesting part of the year where a lot of agents kind of shift into second gear. And whatever happened in the spring market happened in the spring market. We're now kind of all waiting for what's going to happen in the summer market. And I think that's just the reality of, I think, this industry. And I said this recently, and I really believe it to be true, which is I think real businesses don't have an off season. And for whatever reason in our industry, we've sort of conditioned ourselves to sort of slow down, even to the point where it's detrimental to our businesses. But I believe that real businesses don't have an off season. Yes, there's periods of intensity, but you shouldn't have a straight up off season in your business. So let's solve that problem. All right, so let's get into today's session. Looks like the audio is working, the visuals are working, so that's great to hear. The first thing I'm going to talk about, and the first thing I'm going to give you an example of here in just a moment, is I want to reimagine. I want to share my screen here for a second. I'm going to reimagine this idea of how to think about farming, because something happened recently, some experience happened recently, which I thought really helped shape the way I think about farming, which is most people, actually in the chat, let me know. Most people say that it takes blank to get an ROI from farming. And I'm talking about mailing postcards and sales letters and maybe door knocking, whatever it is, right? Eve saying 12 months, year, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, year. I've heard this story so many times that I begin to wonder who actually said it. And the reality is that for most people, they don't start farming because the idea of doing something today and getting an ROI 12 months later, it just feels that gap feels so big. And so the strategy I'm going to kick things off with today, and I want to kind of try to bend your reality a little bit, is this idea of how do you compress time? And one of the ways you can compress time is by focusing on delivery. And what I mean by that is how can you take 12 months of farming and deliver it into like 6 to 7 weeks? And I'm going to give you an example just in a second and tell you the story behind this. But the really interesting part of this story is that, and this, I'm listening to a podcast from the podcast founders, Jimmy Choo, the story of Jimmy Choo, and then how that shoe company built up and sold for $1.2 billion. One of the things that's really interesting about marketing is the importance of differentiation. Now, differentiation can fall into the category of differentiation in your messaging, differentiation in your channels, how you reach people, in your delivery. But the other thing is that differentiation can exist in the frequency of your communication. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. This is an example of my friend Katie Lucci, who posted on February 18th. She goes, hey, listen, I'm taking all the list and lead campaigns and I'm going to do this blast message, right? 7 weeks, 7 campaigns. Now, what's so interesting about this, and I'm going to give you the math on this in a second. What's so interesting about this is that the agents in her area said to her, oh, Katie, that's too much information. That's too many postcards. You know who didn't say that? Let me know in the chat. Who didn't say that? The consumer, and which is the only person you should care about in this scenario. So Katie took this idea of compressing, what would probably be 10 months of direct mail campaigns, maybe a little more, a little less, depending on your frequency. And she condensed it down to 7 weeks, 7 postcards to the same exact audience over the course of 7 weeks. Now, here's the math on this, because we get some update data on this. The math on this. You can see the breakdown here. She spent total $4,300 on postcards, on mailings. So think about that, $4,300 on postcards. She got, right now, about 12 responses over the course of 7 weeks. She got 4 listing appointments, 2 listings. One has already sold, and the other one's currently on the market, going to be selling soon, with 2 more likely coming down in the early fall, maybe early winter. Okay, so let's just look at the math for the money that's in her bank account right now, and I'm going to include the existing listing on the market that's going to sell. She generated $2.35 million in transaction volume. So even with rough math, she's looking at roughly around $70,000 to $80,000 in GCI. So do the math with me here. $4,300 investment, $70,000 to $75,000 in what I would call immediate return on your investment. Now, she could potentially add another $50,000 to $70,000 if she gets those 2 other listings, but who knows what's going to happen there? Maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. Let's just count the money that's in the bank right now. And so when you look at that, she took essentially a 12-week or 12-month sort of farming strategy and condensed it down to 7 weeks. And so when I look at the summer months, I say to myself, there is a massive opportunity. There's a massive opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more capital. I'm going to reinvest a little bit more of the earnings I have from a recent closing into building up my summer pipeline now. But rather than that, like drip, 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 drip approach, which, by the way, every other agent does. You guys with me on this? Like, that's everyone's. Like, I saw someone in the chat say, sign up for CoreFact, got 0 leads. Because if there's no differentiation in your marketing, your message, your channel, your frequency, it's unlikely going to get anyone's attention. And so the question in the chat was, how many people did she mail to? She mailed to 1,500 people plus 300 doors. So approximately 1,800 people got these postcards, that sequence. So 1,800 people got the postcards. Josh is asking, would this work for an email campaign, or do you find postcards are much larger impact? Yeah, so email marketing, we do a lot of that in listing leads. We provide a weekly email that our clients use to activate their database. So the short answer is yes and yes, Josh. When you think about marketing, it's and not or in most instances. Chris was asking, how do we automate this? Great question, Chris. What she did, I think she used Every Door Direct, but there are plenty of services out there in which you can take a listing leads temp. Actually, let me just do this real quick because I want you guys to see this. I think it'll be really helpful. You can go into listing leads, right? We're going to be dropping this next week. You can go into listing leads and you can take any of the postcard templates that we're launching right here. And you can literally go in there and customize them with like a few clicks, download that as a PDF, and then upload that to whatever direct mail tool you're using. CoreFact, Espresso Agent, RedX, Lob.com. There are plenty of them out there that will do that. So let me come back here for a second. Can you give us details on Just Listed? Yeah, we got plenty of those in listing leads, Paul, but the short version is the Just Listed campaigns are designed to either get someone to share it with their friend, help that person understand how their home value is going to be impacted by a sale, or invite them into a open house, typically a neighbors only open house. So if you're farming, if you're circle prospecting with a Just Listed card, you sort of are either in one of those 3 buckets, either letting them know, hey, I'm going to be in the neighborhood. So if you want to get an updated home value, I'm happy to swing by. Hey, the open house is this week at Saturday at 2 p.m. We'd love for you to come by. Or, hey, we know you probably aren't thinking about selling, but you probably know someone who wants to move in the neighborhood. Could you invite somebody to our open house coming up this weekend? So great question. And hopefully I'll stick around because this is a lightning session, so I'll stick around to questions at the end here, and maybe if we have some time, we'll dive into it. Okay, so next up, let's idea number one. So idea number one in the lightning session is this idea that if you plan on farming, why don't we just change the way we think about farming? Let's challenge the status quo here. Instead of 12 months to get an ROI, can you combine a few campaigns into a targeted sequence over a shorter period of time with more frequency? Because there's an important principle of marketing here, which is familiarity breeds trust. And so your ability to build a connection with somebody is entirely dependent on them knowing you exist. Familiarity breeds trust. All right, so idea number two for you. Idea number two, I told you it's going to go fast. Idea number two for you is this idea of recognizing hidden opportunities in the market. Now, how many of you remember the story or the period of time where like you would download ringtones? I just saw the story yesterday. It blew my mind. Remember, like before we could like have like apps for that, like your ringtone was like a way for you to signal to other people how cool you were. And what's fascinating about that story is that artists right now, if you're an artist, you will make typically 10% to 15% of your of the album sales. I'm going back in time here a little bit. 10 to 15% of album sales you get to keep. The other 80%, 85%, that goes to your agent, that goes to the producer, that goes to the distribution channels, that goes to the provide. Like you're making 10 to 15% of that. And so there's a story where in 2000, I think it was 2007, Akon, the rapper, he broke the Guinness Book World Record for the most downloaded ringtones. And he actually ended up making significantly more money from ringtones than he did from his album sales. And in this interview, he talks about the idea that he started creating music with the idea of the ringtone in mind. Because in his contract, he negotiated a separate deal that gave him a lot higher percentage for, at the time, the digital products. So this guy had, I think he ended up having 11 million downloads of his music for ringtones, which at the time was pretty extraordinary. He ended up making, I think, somewhere between $8 to $10 million that year from ringtone sales. And what's so fascinating about the story, it is a story as old as time in business, which is really smart businesses expose underserved markets. That's where they call it the idea of like of finding your alpha in trading. Like you find a hidden market within the market to go after. And so what is that for real estate? How does that translate? How does ringtones translate to real estate? Well, this is a data point. Shout out to Bethany on our team who does the research and writing in collaboration with me on the content and listing leads. She gave me a data point this morning that blew me away. This number has not been as high for 5 years. In April 25, we saw a 14% increase, a 14% cancellation rate of listings. So that means listings were actively not under contract, but like had a listing agreement. 14% of them canceled. The term that we use in real estate, of course, is called expired. That number is typically between 5 to 7%, maybe as high as 9, 10%, but really it hasn't been that high since April of 2020 when the world was shutting down. So I want you to think about that for a second. We're going into the summer months and there is this sort of surge of expires, just like there was at the beginning of the year. And let me know in the chat, are you currently, right now, today, actively going after expired listings? Yes or no in the chat. Let me know. We got yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes, yes. Okay, so looking at the data right now, some of you can't do it. That's okay. We have other ideas for you. Some of you have tried. Joe, check my guy, Joe, right? Expired marketing right now is, I think, the ringtones of the summer. I mean, it is kind of this moment right now where there are a higher percentage of expires than there ever has been, and we have to take advantage of it. Now, I'll go to listingleads.com real quick just to pull this up. We created a blueprint for this. And I'm going to give you a quick pro tip on this. Like, you guys should all subscribe to Listing Leads. You should all get the free trial. We have lots of members here, but we created a expired marketing blueprint. We're going to go ahead and update some parts of this for the summer, the next week or so, because one thing that the question we're going to answer right now in the mind of the consumer is the can I, should I, how do I question. So we built this entire blueprint. Hey, here's all the letters, here's the emails, here's the campaigns, here's the call scripts. But we're gonna make one small twist to this and apply the summer market, which is we want to answer the question in the consumer's mind, which is, should I try to sell my house this summer, right? Or should I wait until the fall? The home just expired. Do I really want to relist it in June, or should I wait until the fall? How do I relist my home this summer and not have the home sit for 120 days? And then, like, we're going to answer some of those questions with this campaign, because ultimately, when 14% of the listings are expiring, and we know half of those are going to hire another agent to represent them, there is a massive opportunity in this space. Now, if you've tried it before, guess what? Get back on your horse. If this is the first time you're doing it right now, then you have to have a plan. You have to have a process. You have to have the right scripts, and you have to lay it out over the course of several weeks. You can't just do one and done. And if those of you who are doing it right now, keep doing it. Keep doing it, because I think right now the agents who embrace this going into the summer market are going to have a big opportunity to get some now business in the summer. And we'll answer some questions on that in a minute as well. All right, so number one was, can you compress time with direct mail? Can you take 12 months of farming and develop a 6 or 7 week sequence going after high intense would-be sellers in your area? Number two in the lightning session is look for the displacement in the market. Where is there opportunity but not a lot of competition? 14% of listings expired in the month of April. That's the highest it's been since April of 2020 during COVID. Not a lot of agents are going to be going after expireds. Summer months, they're kicking in second gear. That's a big opportunity. And the last idea I have for you, and then we'll get into any Q&A we have. We'll save some overtime for Q&A. The last idea I have for you is a strategy I love so much, and I am like on a one-man mission to convince you to do this, because I was talking to my buddy Sam Park, who runs Park Real Estate Group, and he sent me a text message a few days ago saying, "Hey Jimmy," because I was asking, "Hey, what's the ROI of your strategy?" And he's like, "Listen, the ROI has been I generated $600,000 in GCI last year, and other than time, we're not putting really any money behind these campaigns." And this, to me, is this campaign I'm about to share with you. It is so beneficial to your business in so many ways, yet you're probably not doing it. And this is where I want to convince you, persuade you, plead with you to say, just add this. Because the last pro tip I have for you in today's lightning session is I want you to add an additional lead pillar. So let's say you've been getting business from texting and emailing and calling and door knocking and, let's say doing some video campaigns as well. Can we add one more lead pillar over the next 45 days to create opportunities? And let me tell you right now, whether you're in Ireland, Ontario, it doesn't make a difference. Everyone on today's call can execute this idea. Let me go ahead and pull my screen up, and I'm going to share this with you. This is the perfect Instagram post. Let me pull it up. Now, let me give a quick disclaimer, because there's some really important criteria in this post. Sam Park and Esther, his sister, regularly post videos. Saying 3 to 4 per month on social media, and they follow the exact same format every single time. They generate thousands of leads from Instagram. They automate all of the follow-up. And as a result, they generated $600,000 in GCI last year from Instagram. And all they do is, and you can, by the way, quick disclaimer, you can be in the videos or you can do a faceless creator movement. You don't have to be in the video. I want to give a huge disclaimer here. Maybe my team could drop a link to Sam RP. Like, you do not have to be in the video. She's in this video right now, totally fine. You don't have to be in the video for this to work. She finds a listing in a highly desirable neighborhood. It's either hers, or here's the pro tip, or it's another agent's listing that she asked permission for. And she creates an Instagram reel and she uploads that reel, and she has 3 unique calls to action: audio, visual, caption. Audio, I'm not going to play the video here, but she says, if you want to get more information about this home, text Reno SN to, here's the phone number. You can see it on the screen. She includes a visual, right, of that same CTA. So audio plus visual. We know around 75% of Instagram videos are watched without the sound on. And then lastly, she includes a text message CTA at the very top in her caption. So follow the logic here. She gets a listing. It's her listing, or it's another agent's listing. And you can see here, listing courtesy of, she actually tags the agent. She gets the listing. She creates an Instagram reel, sends a videographer down there. They create, in the edit, they create a text CTA, audio CTA, and the caption CTA. Anybody who texts that message to that phone number opts in to not only get more messages from them, but opts in and gets more information and allows them to raise their hand. She's using ManyChat, 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 to automate this process. So if you're in a position right now where you don't have listings, go call listing agents who do have listings. Create the video, add the CTA in audio, add the CTA in the caption, add the CTA in the visual, post that on social media. And if you don't have a big following, just put a small budget behind it. $300 or $100 or $50. It doesn't have to be a massive budget. Here's the quick pro tip here. The 2 things that you don't want to include. You guys already know the answer to this. What are the 2 things you don't want to include in this? 2 bits of information you want to exclude. That's right, Kelly. That's right. Price and address. Price and address. I never want you posting the price, and I never want you posting the address, because if you give that information away, if she gives that information away, you're going to basically eliminate the reason they're going to reach out. And this is a principle we teach in marketing, which is, if you're trying to improve your conversion ratio, make the first step a small step. So allowing the customer to say, hey, I just want to get information on the price and address. It automatically replies, hey, great, what's your phone number? We'll follow up with you. Like, that little small step is the first way you start more conversation. So my advice here for you, before we get into Q&A, and before I recap here, is very simple, is that I want you to add another lead pillar. I think the best, easiest, fastest ways to get business on social media is to use the perfect listing promotion. The perfect listing promotion, all required is a listing, your listings or someone else's listing. It requires you to have a video of that listing. You can have your videographer go down there and shoot the video. It costs you very little money to do so. Add a text CTA, audio CTA, caption CTA, and exclude the price and location. Get this kind of muscle in motion for your business, and all of a sudden, you start growing your Instagram following. You start generating leads from Instagram, and you start creating opportunities that lead to appointments with basically doing something that is, you don't even have to be involved in. You can delegate that to an assistant or your marketing admin or just a virtual person on your team. So this is a killer strategy, $600,000 in GCI. Everybody on today's call can execute this. I want to see more of you do it. I mean, this is the easiest baby step into social media. All right, so let's recap here on the lightning session. Number 1, compress time. 12 months of farming. Let's get it down to maybe 6 weeks, leveraging some of the campaigns I mentioned. Number 2, find a hidden soft spot in the market. Where is there alpha? Where is there an opportunity where there's a displacement of opportunity versus competition? My advice is 14% of listings have canceled in April. Expireds are going to be rising in the summer. Can we get in front of those folks to create more opportunity? Don't overthink it, team. I mean, this stuff just works. And finally, number 3 is that you're doing some things that are getting some momentum. Can you add an additional lead pillar? Can you add one more lead pillar, right, to help you ensure that you can fight against kind of the seasonality of the summer and still grow your business going into the fall market? All right, that was a ton of information we covered in literally 23 minutes. First off, let me know in the chat, was this helpful? We kind of getting the juices flowing here? I want to kind of inspire you guys to think bigger, think differently, kind of get out of that creative rut you're in right now. Awesome. Love it. And listen, this is not a 2-hour webinar. We're going to spend, the entire time looking for the fountain of youth here. We're trying to get some ideas and get you guys back to work. Awesome. All right. I'll stick around for a few questions before we wrap here. For those of you, real quick, actually, before we wrap, I'll drop a link here because we got a ton of questions on this. If you're not a part of listingleads.com, by the way, we have almost all of you who are part of today's session who are part of Listing Leads. Let us know in the feedback in the channel, like your feedback. Love it, Sade. Right? Awesome. Yeah. So for those of you who are members, and we have a bunch of people who are not members, please drop your feedback in there because I know it's really helpful for them to hear, not just from me, but also from agents who are part of our community. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. If you want to test drive Listing Leads, talk about make the first step a small step, sign up for a free trial. It's just listingleads.com/free-trial. Give it a test run. We are in the business of helping people get listings. That's what we do for a living. And that's what we do to help our customers. And we know our customers are busy. They need help with marketing. They need help with emails and texting. They need help with video content. They need help with direct mail. We are that creative agency behind the scenes that helps them, makes their lives a little bit easier. Love it. Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christian. Yeah, well worth the expense. Yeah, it's $139 a month, or that's for our full package, which includes social media, or if you're just looking for text and email and direct mail, that's $99 a month. Cancel anytime. Yep. Natalie saying, I'm in there. I love it there. Thank you, Natalie. Appreciate that. Thanks, Jairus. Robin saying, hey, this is an amazing program. Thank you, Robin. Awesome. Yeah, we will post the recording. David saying, hey, love Listing Leads. Thank you, David. Yeah, David, here's where, thank you, Christy. So here's my advice on, because David has a great question. Would you say three pillars minimum to work consistently? Behind every great agent or team that I have a chance to interface with, they have at the minimum one pillar. Now that might be the way in which they market their listings. That might be, expired and door knocking. That might be they have a great SOI. Maybe they invest in the community. That might be paid leads, but they have one pillar that's really working for them. But here's a disclaimer, is that marketing has a tendency, just like the market, to ebb and flow. And so if you want to smooth out those sort of dips that you normally get if you have one pillar, you've got to have at least two. Now, I believe the easiest and fastest way to have a really solid foundation of new customers is mastering email marketing and text marketing. If you've already got a database in place, which many of you already do, you already have a database, email marketing and text marketing, which is why we invest so much time and resources into doing that for you guys. Getting that right is a huge lift in your business. Then if you were to layer above those two things, that's when I look to direct mail, because direct mail you're getting some revenue from emailing and texting and calling. Direct mail has the ability to get some now business. So I love the idea of Magic Buyer Letter being a part of your strategy. I love the idea of the ZMA being part of your strategy. I love the idea of adding expired marketing as part of your strategy, or Silver Tsunami as part of your strategy. But once you get email and texting dialed in, I'm a huge fan of adding direct mail next. And then lastly, I would say social usually is, social can be a foundational piece, but for many people, it becomes a sort of that sort of extra cherry on top. And I like to add that last, just because of the time it usually takes to get the return on it. And so I think of that as a little bit more of a midterm, long-term. You can get more immediate results if you amplify with advertising, but I like to add that after these other kind of emailing is working, texting is working, direct mail is working, I like to add that. Now, notably, I'm not adding paid advertising until the very end. I'm trying to keep my costs low, my revenue high before I invest that money back into paid ads because we know paid advertising it can work really effectively. You got the right systems, but it does take a long time for it to generate a meaningful ROI. All right, great question. Um, Isaiah, how do you feel about door-to-door knocking? I'm a huge fan of it if you got the right personality. Let's be clear. I mean, this is something people don't talk about. If you don't have a personality for door knocking and temperament for door knocking, don't do it. If the idea of knocking on someone's door makes you cringe and makes you like start to break out in cold sweat, then like plenty of other options out there. Debbie's saying, where does she get the completed postcards? Yeah, Debbie, everything is in listingleads.com. All the postcards are in listingleads.com. Margaret asks, do I suggest a 7-week blitz? Yeah, Margaret, I'm just going to go back to Katie Lucci. Took 12 months of campaigns, condensed it down 7 weeks, 14x ROI. It works. I am generally a fan of standing on the shoulders of giants. So I'm generally a fan of saying, hey, if it worked for Katie in her market, and I've seen it work in other markets, I'm not going to really change too much of that. I'm going to go all in on that. My advice there, though, is don't just send boring, generic, you know, direct mail. Like she used all listing lead campaigns. So 100% go to listing leads and check out our direct mail library. Um, Eve's asking, does this work for a new geo farm? 1,000% yes. Uh, Barbara's asking, do you recommend QR codes on the 7-week campaign? No, I like text me to get more information. It's more accessible to more people. Uh, can you explain ManyChat a little more? Using many years ago, it was spammy. Has it changed? Well, ManyChat is not a marketing um, company. It's a automation tool. So ManyChat simply automates the messages that go out. So it's not inherently spammy unless you create spammy messages to go out. So we'll drop a link in the show notes after this. We'll drop a link to some help articles on ManyChat to help you kind of dig a little bit deeper. But it's just really there to automate the follow up. Um, and we'll do 2 more questions before we wrap here. Yeah, absolutely, Julie. Yeah, Tammy. What time of year did Katie send it out? She sent it out in the spring market, beginning of the spring market. Can it be done successfully any time of the year? The short answer is, I built this program at Tom Berry called the 100K 100 Day program. We launched it in literally the worst market in the last like 20 years. It was Q4 of 2023. That's when we were just coming on the back of 1,000 rate hikes, right, by Jerome Powell. That's when the economy was, and people were just so concerned about jobs and the economy and interest rates and the word inflation, right? Like, I mean, like the people were just, everyone in the world was frozen. We built the 100K program in 100 days. We got a few thousand agents to participate, largest listing attraction experiment in history. We ended up generating north of like, I want to say 20,000 appointments. The number keeps going up and up and up. Now it's well into tens of billions of business from that program because we've run it a couple times now. So the short answer is great marketing works every season. And that's that, man, Tammy, that's that mindset shift I want you to make, which is, a lot of agents will say, I love this idea, but Jimmy, I'm going to wait to the fall market. Great. Great. I mean, like, that's what everyone else is going to do. So you're going to have less competition in the mailbox because most agents are pulling back right now. So I'm a huge fan. Find that kind of, white space in the market. Yeah. Crystal saying we have a great farming tool to help you find 20-year. Awesome. Yeah. So reach out to Crystal. Shout out to Crystal. If you guys need help getting like list of people to farm to, Crystal dropped her email in there. She can help you do that as well. Yeah, Julie, Julie asked a question real quick before we wrap here. Julie asked the question, am I going to do 100K 100-day program for people who are not members of Tom Ferry Coaching. You know, Tom's a great partner of Listing Leads. I mean, Tom, for those of you who don't know, Tom Ferry and I created this company now 14 months ago. It's the fastest growing company fastest growing membership company in real estate history. I mean, we now have 4,000 members right now who are part of Listing Leads just in 14 months. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that, we are providing a ton of value at a ridiculously low cost to our industry. I think right now, software and services are too expensive. I think this market's really tough. So I'm very proud of the fact that, we can help our clients, partner with them to help them get results without having to spend thousands of dollars every month to get customers. And so one of the things that we're looking at right now, it's kind of perfect timing, is we are looking to do a kind of condensed version of 100K in 100 days for Listing Lead members. We're thinking about doing it in the summertime, like right at the first day of summer, and we want to provide you a realistic plan. Listen, you guys want to go to the beach, you want to go to barbecues, you want to have fun. We understand that. We just don't want your pipelines to dry up while you're taking time off of work. So we're actively in the process of sort of shaping that right now. We got the strategies. I mean, we know what works. It's about making sure that we package it the right way so that we don't create a world where like we're expecting a cold call for 2 hours a day. Like that's not the way we operate. So the short answer is yes. Stay tuned. We're thinking about dropping that towards the end of or middle of June, or certainly by the first day of summer. So it is coming up. Absolutely, Paul. We are aware of that. So less than a month away here. So hey everyone, this is an awesome lightning session. Thank you all for being part of it. We did 23 minutes of content, about 13 minutes of Q&A. We will be doing more of these to keep you motivated, excited, and getting results throughout the rest of the summer. So please check your email inboxes. We'll be sending you invites out later. Thanks again for being a part of today's session. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Thanks so much.